Hello, bienvenue sur le live. Et je vais lire tous ces messages, Charlie, parce qu'il y en a beaucoup. Déjà, comment tu vas, Charlie? Est-ce que tu es toujours là aussi? C'est la grande question. La musique n'est peut-être pas trop forte. Je pense qu'on est bon. Alors, qu'est-ce que tu m'as dit là? Hey, tiens, ça faisait longtemps. Je fais mon sport tout le matin et Hugo live le matin. C'est fait exprès, je pense. Écoute, moi je live comme ça à l'improviste, sans prévenir. Plein d'émojis. Ok, peu de décalage. Je sais même pas du tout si uniquement le décalage imposé par OBS. Et ouais, c'est pas mal la connexion. Ah, tu veux avec Monaco? Eh oui. Bah, vas-y. Bon. Je crois que t'es plus là, Charlie, mais c'est pas grave. Tout ça m'a l'air bien. Donc, on va essayer de faire de la musique aujourd'hui. Alors, faut que je règle deux, trois trucs. Ouais, si je fais ça, je vais avoir ma mise au point qui va être correcte. Ouais. Ouais, si je fais ça. Hmm, comme ça. Bon, on va faire ça comme ça. Alors, j'ai juste, ouais, on verra. On verra dans quelques instants comment on fait ça. Juste, je vais enregistrer mon fichier. Petite musique en attendant. Je vais couper la musique. Normalement, si je mets une petite musique comme ça, elle est pas longue la musique. Ok, parfait. Alors, on va aller récupérer un petit fuseau. Faut que je le trouve. Je vais le trouver. On va s'en sortir. Voilà, c'est ça. C'est ça que je voulais récupérer. Donc, ce qu'on va faire, LMMS, ici. Les pubs, bien évidemment. Non, c'est pas ça que je voulais faire. Voilà, parfait. On est ready. Logiquement, si je fais ça, je vous affiche mon écran. Voilà, exactement. Donc, nous voici sur le logiciel LMMS. Alors, est-ce que là, voilà, c'est là qu'on va régler. Ah, Simple Highlight. Charlie, le retour. Comment tu vas, Charlie? Ok, là, on me semble pas mal. On va bloquer ça comme ça. Ok, parfait. Et ben, ça, hop, ça va faire l'affaire. Ça va, et ben, moi aussi, ça va, Charlie, écoute, hein. Ça va très bien. On va faire un peu de musique. Voilà, voilà. Euh, on va commencer par les bases. C'est-à-dire qu'il y avait un petit tuto. Et on va essayer de suivre ce tuto pour essayer de comprendre comment faire de la musique avec ce logiciel. Si t'as des choses à dire, si tu as des conseils, etc., n'hésite pas. Je vais essayer de regarder. Alors ouais, c'est en anglais. Alors vous ne pouvez pas entendre la vidéo.
And actually playback audio and your audio is configured
Voilà, ça doit être mieux comme
correctly.
ça.
To test that very quickly, we can just come over here to the left side and click on this tab, My Projects.
Oui, le petit tuto, c'est important parce que voilà. Sinon, on ne
And
comprend
we
rien.
can come over to Demos and just load one of these demo songs. So we have this one here. If we hit play, you should be able to hear it playing, and everything should load properly.
Oh, et il y a des sons de démo. On va aller voir ça alors. Il y a le son de la vidéo, mais c'est normal. Oui, le son de la vidéo que je regarde, c'est normal.
To test
C'est moi qui
that
viens de le mettre. Mais c'est normal.
very quickly, we can just come over here to the left side and click on this tab, My Projects.
Pourquoi c'est tout flou comme ça? Je suis en 1080p, la vidéo elle est floue.
And we can come over to Demos and just load one of these demos.
C'est pas normal ça. Qualité. 1080p. Ah, c'est bon. Ah ok, je pensais que tu voulais qu'il n'y ait pas le son. Si, je veux qu'il y ait le son. Comme ça, tu écoutes l'anglais, tu perfectionnes ton anglais.
Demo songs. So we have this one here. If we hit play,
Ah ben alors, on va aller voir les sons de démo. Alors, ici, on a démo. Parfait. On en prend un au hasard. Ok. Allez, on va regarder ça. On va voir, on va écouter un truc. C'est ça, c'est gratuit et ça ressemble un peu à FL Studio, c'est ça. Mais c'est gratuit, c'est ça qui est pas mal. Toi, c'est FL Studio, tu utilises, c'est ça. Ah, ça fait 3 fois que je recommence la musique. Je voulais voir un peu de la fin, mais je repars là. Logic Pro. Ok. Bah vas-y Charlie, fais bien ton sport et puis voilà, si tu vas repasser, n'hésite pas. Et puis merci d'être passé un petit moment déjà. Je vais essayer de comprendre ce logiciel. Merci Charlie pour l'alerte. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'on a là? On va essayer un autre truc. Oh, ça m'a l'air bien compliqué ce truc. Oh là là. Et il va falloir qu'on arrive à faire ça nous après. Hein. C'est pas donné encore. On va on va en avoir du temps d'apprentissage. C'est super bien, en fait. Oh là là. Comment je ferme cette fenêtre, par contre, que je viens d'ouvrir? Je me demande l'écran tout à l'heure, mais... Ouais, voilà, faut que je fasse ça. Et on le mélangeur d'effets et tout. Ah, c'est incroyable. C'est pas tout de suite que je fais des choses comme ça, je pense. Mais... Oh là là, regardez celle-ci. On va écouter celle-ci, peut-être qu'on arrête un signe quand même. Ok, je suis moins fan. Et du coup, on va en regarder encore un. Putain, mais des milliards. Vas-y, comme on Mario. Oui, vraiment, ça faisait ce style-là. Bon. Euh... Ah, mais ça, ah là là. Ah là 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 là. J'ai ajouté une note. Ah, je me vois sauter sur des cubes. Vas-y, saute sur des cubes, Charlie. Fais Mario. Mince. Va falloir que je change Wizbot. Sur Wizbot, il a encore le lien vers mon ancien site. Faudra que je change ça. J'y pense. Bon, allez, on arrête. On va se mettre à faire des vrais trucs. Faut que je retrouve mon projet, du coup, qui doit être, projet test. J'ai que des projets test. Euh, je vais enregistrer là, ce que je sais. Musique live test, non? Mhm. Non, alors ici, là, attendez, change de vous. Je sais jamais ce qu'il va y avoir. Ouvrir. Ah, si tuto et MAO. Ok, je veux bien. Hop. Ok, voilà. Non, bref, je pense à changer le lien de Wizbot. Bon. C'est pas bien important. Alors, notre petit tuto. Il est là.
You should be able to hear it playing, and everything should load properly. Try and load a few different ones in playback. This is like a much larger sequence, so we can play and see what these sound like. And as long as you're hearing everything, you don't get an error message, you're good to go. If you did get an error message, you might need to go into your edit settings. Working. If you get an error message, just go to Google, type in part of that error message, and then follow the instructions. You're good to go. So hopefully you've got it set up right and proper. So yeah, let's dive in to get started. We're just going to close out of these. Well, while this one's open, go ahead and open a sample one. Maybe this simpler one here, this Angry Llama song. We'll just hit play. So we noticed it had a couple different things. When we hit play, this playhead's going along, and wherever this playhead is what part of the sequence we're at, what part of the song we're at. So if we move towards the end and hit play, it'll start playing from right there. And then we notice there's kind of these four different, there's a main beat, a bass line, a melody, and then these claps. So these are kind of different things going on here. This one right here, we have this main beat is actually this tied to this window here that's open. So this main beat, we can actually, we'll start to change it. And let's just go ahead and play just this main beat. We hit the play on it, and then it plays just the beat without playing the whole sequence. If we want to edit this beat, we can just edit it on the fly. We can just click here. If we click off some of these squares, we see what happens.
Bien évidemment, les plus en plein milieu.
So these are actually different lines of this beat. So now it's playing nothing. So we have a bass drum. If we want bass drum to be on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4, every 4 squares, we just select it. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bass. If we want alternating between bass and hi-hat close, we just do it like this. See how that works? I'm just left-clicking in these squares to get that effect. And then we can have like a shaker going on the offbeats of all this, if we want to. And that's how we can create our own beat. So now we've actually modified the beat. If we hit stop and we play this sequence now, the beat's gonna be modified for the whole song to the one that we created. If we want to just get like tons of shakers going on. So we got like our own little cool thing going on, right? Anyway, this is a good introduction of how to work with this baseline beat editor. And then, so with our existing song here, we can come over to our bass line, and if we double click one of these squares in here, it brings up this piano, and we can see what the bass line is looking like. If we play this, it plays just this square. So if we make this really wide, for example, and move it, we can left click and drag and move it. And now it'll play this note the whole time. So it kind of changed the way this part of the song is being played. If we right click on a note on these green boxes, it'll make it go away completely. Now it's just going to play a full thing, this note the whole time. Oh, whoops. There's one higher I didn't see. Right here. Get rid of that guy. Right click and he'll go away. So now it's just playing this note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a 4/4 bar. We can change the timing, but right now it's just 4/4. So if we want to change this, in fact, we did just change it. So it's changed. We can tell that because if we look really close in here, in fact, we can kind of zoom in. Let's make this bigger, and then let's zoom in to 400%. We can see this is changed now to look like this. These have little tiny dots in here associating with the different keys they are. So this is a straight line across this bar. So when we play this, so just that bar has changed. And then when we go back to the next one, it's set back to this pattern again. But our bass line that we did, or our beat, our main beat that we did, it's actually looping over the whole time. We see it's a constant through here. So whatever it's changed on it, it's just going to loop over and over again. But each one of these are like a different phrase or every bar has its own thing. So we can change these by left clicking and moving them around. Now it's going to sound kind of weird, but the rhythm's still the same. We can click a bunch in here and make it sound awful. That's actually not even too bad. And then we can play this part of the song with everything all together and see what it sounds like. All right. And then claps. If we get into the claps is actually, it has a separate bar for the claps broken out. We won't talk about that. I resized this window, so this is good to see. So we can close out of it, we can click here, but if ever, everything's a separate panel. So we have this workspace here, and everything's kind of a separate panel, and we can close a lot of these, and then we can reopen them back up. So we can close a lot of this. And if we want to get back into it, we just go to the beat editor and click on it. Baseline, we can change different settings for these. These are the instruments, how they're controlled. But we'll learn about that in future future videos. I think I'm going to end this one here and just encourage you to open up an existing song and then go ahead and play that song.
Bon, pour l'instant, tout ce qui est nuit, je le connais, je sais à peu près plus ou moins, parce que j'ai déjà fait quelques musiques avec ça. Des trucs très basiques, et voilà. En gros, l'interface du logiciel, je maîtrise à peu près, hein.
And look at the different instruments that are being used, look at the different beats that are being used, figure out some different, there's a couple different types of kind of standard, I'm not even sure what they'd be called, but standard instruments or standard types of tracks that are being used. And so we can get in and edit these and see, you know, what they are. So get familiar with these, and then in the next video, we'll look at creating our own song, basic song from scratch. Appreciate you watching, and catch you on the next video.
Allez, let's go. On va voir la vidéo suivante.
Producers, this plugin helps you finish your
Toujours des pubs, bien évidemment. Allez, on va regarder cette deuxième vidéo.
Welcome back to another LMMS tutorial. In this video, we're going to be learning about the different options we have for Windows, the different types of tracks there are to work with, and we'll also be learning about these different tabs we have in the sidebar and exploring
Je pense que je vais même pas aller du test, là, il y a des choses assez basiques, donc.
different sounds and different instruments that LMMS has to offer. So to get started, I just want to show that if we do close our song editor on accident, we can always bring it back by clicking this button right here. So if we hover over, it says Show Hide Song Editor. We can just click that. There's also a hotkey for it, which is the F5 key, and that brings it back as well. But just know that just because we close these, it doesn't mean that they're gone forever. In fact, it doesn't even mean that the data that's in them is going to go away. So and a good example for that would be if we bring in like a song like we did last time and hit play. Whoa.
Alors, on va peut-être écouter le son en vitesse réelle quand même.
We can actually, I'm going to turn my headphones down a little bit. We can actually close this while this is playing, and it'll still keep playing. In fact, we can close all of these, and it's still playing. And see, there's no option for controlling, how do we stop this? So we have to bring back the song editor and then hit stop. And so just because it's closed, don't be afraid that you lost data. The only time you'll lose is if you close this and then don't save. But other than that, this workspace, it keeps the changes that you set. Tabs, the baseline editor, the notes or different things just by clicking these 7 buttons up here.
Donc en gros, là, il nous explique
So
juste qu'en haut à gauche, donc en haut à gauche ici, là, on peut afficher les fenêtres si on ferme des fenêtres.
And we'll say discard. So we have a brand new, fresh project. This is what it looks like when we first open. And let's explore some different options we have over here on the left-hand side. So if we click here, we see this top one is called Instrument Plugins. And if we hover over, it just kind of shows us some of the different instruments. We can get different instruments and VSTs that we can actually import in. But these are actually a pretty good set, but there's a ton of different instruments we can do. And you'll notice they all do different things, and we'll explore these. In fact, we'll probably have a video dedicated to each and every one of these because the options are massive, especially this like Zenab sub effects. Like this is essentially can create any sound you can imagine. Just the settings involved with this are just astronomical. So we'll probably dedicate a lot of time to learning how to use these, but just be aware that there's different instruments here. The way we get them into our composition is just by left-clicking and dragging them onto our song editor. So now we have this Bitvader as an option. And if we want to get this free boy, we just left-click and drag it in. We have a free boy track now. We can also add them into our baseline. So some of these are better. So this one right here is called kicker. If we want to get a second kicker, we can just hover over and find the kicker instrument, left click and drag it in. And now we have a second one. And we can also play anything. So we can do the Bitvader as a thing. So you can actually have instruments being played in your beat and baseline, and you can have drums being played in your song editor, like on a musical keyboard, for example. And vice versa. So it works both ways. Anyway, that's how we get the instruments into our project. The next thing we'll look at is this My Projects, which is where we've been to grab these demo songs. So this has a couple different things, some different templates, some different songs, but it's also going to be where your projects are saved. So if we click Save right now, and we just call this My Song, and hit Enter, it's going to show up in here. We click this refresh button, and we can see My Song is now there. So if you're
Ah, ok, c'est toi, vous voyez pas, parce que déjà rafraîchisse la page. Donc, on va voir ça. Là, on voit que j'ai pas mon projet s'appelle tuto MAO. On voit que, on ne voit pas là-dedans. Si je réfléchis, voilà, on voit nous maintenant. Voilà. Tutorial, upload, c'est le préfet, quoi. Okay.
If you're working on a project and you save it, anytime you save your project, it'll appear here under your My Projects. Another way you can get to your song, so I'm not sure where I saved that at. If we go File, Save As, it'll tell us. So I saved it under Documents, LMMS, Projects. So these bottom tabs also let us explore different locations on the computer. So this is how I get into my Documents, LMMS, and I can find my project that way as well, which is called mysong.mmpz. And I can load it that way. So there's a couple different ways to get back to your song. So there's these two bottom tabs control different locations on your computer, and they also control different locations within your home directory. Okay, moving on. So the one right below My Projects is called My Samples. This is where we're going to get lots of different samples that are already using existing instruments. So if we left click and just left click and hold, it'll just play through that audio. So these are all bass loops. We have basses here. We have drums. So if we want to get a drum sound, and maybe we want to use this one, like this one here, we just left click and drag it in, and now we can use that in our bassline editor. And we can also, if we wanted to, we could drag it in and use it as a complete track in our song editor. Don't worry, we'll talk about the difference between using it in our song editor and using it in our beat bassline. But as you play with them and as we get more experience, you'll understand why certain sounds, a lot of times drum sounds you'll want to have in your beat and bassline rather than in your song. So let's just play with these, expand. There's lots of different sounds that you'll find. So explore those. And again, to play it, you just hover over and left click and keep holding down your mouse, and it'll play. As soon as you let off your mouse, it'll cut the song. It'll cut that audio file. And so these are all just audio files. If you notice, they're a .ogg extension, which is like an open source audio file format, like WAV or MP3. It's just an open source version of an audio file. This next tab here is My Presets. So My Presets is going to be actual presets for these instruments. So if you notice, these instruments, we have Bit Invader, Freeboy, and if we come over to the My Presets, there's actually going to be a folder for Bit Invader, and a folder that's not fun, a folder for Kicker, which one of the instruments here was Kicker. And so these are presets for different ways of making this kicker.
Voici un jeu de stratégie et de simulation.
Allez, encore une pub.
So see, it's not actually an audio file, it's a configuration of an instrument. So if we come to the Bit Invader one, and sometimes these are kind of long, like some of them are like longer. If we go, see that's not just a simple sound, it's kind of like more of a longer effect. So play with these, there's all kinds of different sounds. Some of them are, that's like a Nintendo game sound, right? And again, these we can also use the same way. We just left click, drag it in, we can drag it into our either our beat and bassline editor or our song editor, it doesn't really matter. And then we can do different things that way. And there's going to be a ton of, like I said, the Zen Add Sub Effects is just huge. So there's going to be all kinds of different options. Fortunately, we have all these different presets, and we can create our own preset actually. So once we get into actually editing and changing, this is how we would create our own preset, is by changing it on here. We just hit save when we have a unique preset, and we can save our own custom preset that'll appear here every time. So just be aware of that. We're not going to do it right now because it's just a little bit more advanced. Yeah, so that's all I want to show you. So we looked over here, we saw kind of how this works. Now you know how to bring instruments in, and in the next video, we're going to start creating a simple song and a simple bass line.
Bon, on va commencer à créer un son dans la prochaine vidéo. Allez, j'espère qu'on va enfin commencer à faire un truc, parce que là, ça fait 2 vidéos qu'on regarde où juste on parle de l'interface et tout ça, donc commençons à faire un son.
Just to get you familiar with the basic workflow. Appreciate you watching this video. I hope you found it informative. Go ahead and like and subscribe, comment below, and I hope to see you in the next video. Welcome back to another LMMS tutorial. In this video, we're going to be creating a nice beat, like a drum beat that loops over and over again, and we're going to be using the beat and bassline editor, getting you familiar with that. This is the first steps in composing your own awesome music in LMMS. So to get started, we're going to actually close a few of these windows. This controller rack we don't need. Just go ahead and left-click the X in the top right-hand corner. The FX mixer we can close as well. We'll just keep open just the song editor for right now. And you'll notice in the song editor, we have 4 different tracks. We have an instrument track of a triple oscillator. We have a sample track, beat and bass line, and automation track. So to make things simple, we're just going to get rid of everything except for the beat and bass line track. So to do that, we come over here to this little cog, click on it with the left mouse button, and then go to remove track. So I'm going to remove these 3 tracks and leave just the beat and bass line. If you accidentally remove the beat and bass line, we can get it back by just hovering over here and it says add beat/bass line, and we can add that. And we can actually add multiple in if we wanted to, but right now we're just going to do one. So we have one beat and bass line. If we hit play, we see our playhead advances from left to right. Nothing's happening. Every one of these little black squares here is a bar. So it has 4 counts in it. We're in 4/4. So if I click here, it becomes highlighted and it becomes active. So whatever is highlighted is what will play in from the drum, the beat that we create. I'll show you what I mean. That'll make more sense in a second here. To make it go away, I'm just going to hit the scroll wheel button, like the scroll wheel, press down on it, the button, and it'll go away. Okay, to bring up our beat and bassline editor, we can click here, and it'll show. It's also the F6 key on the keyboard. Or we can also do it from within the song editor. We can just click on the beat and bassline where it says beat bassline 0. We can left click. And so we see this beat is associated with this beat/bassline 0 is associated with this window over here. So any changes that are made in this window will apply to this one track over here. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's hit play. We also have a play button here, but it just plays looping over this little beat that we're making over and over again. It doesn't play the whole song. So if we hit play, this is looping. We can't see anything happening, but it really is looping. See, it's getting reset back to 0 every time. So if we click here,
Je voudrais juste pouvoir créer quelque chose d'iconique.
Bon,
it's playing
ça
like a
commence.
bass drum beat on the first count of every bar, or of this bar repeating over again. So now we have a nice little kind of a
Exactement
bass
ce que j'avais
drum
fait.
beat. We only have one track in this. We have one track in our song, but we also only have one track in our beat. So if we want to add multiple instruments, like besides just a bass drum, we have to add those in. So I'll hit stop over here. Actually, before we add instruments, let's add this to our song. So right now, if we hit play on our song, still nothing's happening, even though we edited it. And that's because we didn't actually add this to an active box, an active bar on our song. So if we just click here, now this beat will play on this bar of our song. And only that bar. So now it's done, see? If I want to play for 2 bars, I'll select the second bar. So now it'll play for the second bar, and now it's done. If I want to play for a long time, I can hit the center mouse button and get rid of these. We can just left click, and we can come into the edge and left click and drag. We actually drag it out so it keeps playing for a very long time throughout different parts of our song. So that's how that works. But again, if yours isn't playing and you're wondering why, it might be because it's just not active. You might have no active selection, so it'll play over here, but it won't play here. And also, a problem you could run into if you're trying to get your beat to work and you're not hearing anything, or you don't have the option to click in these squares, it might be because your beat and bass line isn't there. So if your song editor is completely empty, you can still bring up your beat and bass line, but nothing's going to happen. You can't click, you can't play, because you don't, even though you have an instrument, you don't have a track in your song for a beat and bass line. So make sure you click this button here, add beat bass line, if you don't have one. And then again, if we have multiple, if we have 1, 2, and 3, we can toggle between which one we're editing in the beat and bass line editor here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these ones again. And now we're going to bring in some different instruments. So by default, this kicker is actually an instrument. We can bring in a second one if we go to the instruments over here on the left-hand side, this tab. We can go down to kicker and left click and drag it in. Now we have 2 kickers, but they're both the same thing. They both sound the same. You can change the way it sounds since it's an actual instrument. We can click on it and it brings up this window here, and we can change some of the dials and the different the way it sounds. But we're not going to do that in this video. We'll cover that in later tutorials. So there's no sense having 2 of the exact same sound. So I'll remove this track. The best thing we can do is actually come down here to My Samples, and there's a bunch of different folders, and one's called Drums, and it has a bunch of different drum sounds. just left click and hold with your left mouse button to sample and see what they sound like. So we need maybe we need a good snare drum. We come down here to snares. And we can left click and drag. Once we find the one we want, we can left click and drag it in. And now that sound becomes available in our beat and bass line. And every square we make active for it, it will play that sound. So now we have a nice simple little thing going on here. If we want to grab a hi-hat, we can do that. Where's our hi-hat? Find a good one. Yeah, let's do this. So a nice simple drum thing we got going on here. If we don't like, if it's kind of loud, maybe our hi-hat's overpowering a little bit, we can come here and hover over the volume and scroll wheel down to turn the volume down, or left click and we can actually lower the volume. So that hi-hat's not so overpowering. And if we want our snare to be super loud, we can make it louder. So we can adjust the volume. And then pan is like what ear you hear it in, the right ear or the left ear or speaker. So yeah, that's how you control volume, panning on these different tracks. If you want to listen to just one track at a time and see just what our bass is doing, we can just click up here and hear it hear it solo. So we can hear any track we want to solo. I don't love this, what I've created here. Let's change it up a little bit, make it kind of cool. Let's get a tom. Cool. So now we take our beat and we can stop it. And now anywhere since we're on beat baseline 0, we're editing all 4 of these. Kind of imagine everything within this window is going to get shrunk down and it'll play every time we click. So if we click here, it'll play here. And then it stops. If we click here, it'll play it and it'll have a bar of rest in between. So I hope that makes sense. And then really the song editor and the beat and bassline editor are very similar in that they each can have multiple tracks. You can drag in, like we wouldn't really want to, but we could drag in a tom as an instrument in our song. But we wouldn't really want to do that. But in the next video, we are going to bring in some instruments and we'll learn how to play the piano roll. The issue is if we bring in the tom, we have to edit it using the piano roll. So if we go to edit this, we have to actually play different notes. And the tom will be different pitches, which is kind of cool. Maybe you do want to do that. But and then we have a nice little thing here, but that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. In the next video, we'll look at the piano roll and how to use it, kind of similar to the beat and bassline editor as well. So I hope you found this video informative. Go ahead and like and subscribe, comment below.
Ok, bon, on a fait ça, on a un petit rythme. Pas encore sur la qualité de ce qu'on a vu tout à l'heure, mais on va se retrouver dans très longtemps, je pense. Mais petit à petit, on avance. On va regarder la vidéo suivante.
And I hope to see you on the next video. Welcome back to another LMMS tutorial. In this video, we're going to be learning how to use the piano roll and how to compose different notes and music using LMMS. In the last video, we made this beat right here. And so this is the beat we're going to be using. But if you're wondering how we got to this point, go ahead and check out the last video. You don't even have to necessarily have a beat for your song, so we could actually turn turn this track off while we're playing. If we do that, we see it becomes inactive if we click off this green light. Then if we play, we don't hear it. And then when the green light's on, we hear it. And when it's off, we don't. So I'm just going to leave this on here. And let's go ahead and say we want our composition to be 4 bars long. So we'll make it 4 of these bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we want it to be just completely done after that. So let's grab in now. We want to get an instrument track. And if you have some other tracks on here, you might have like a sample track or an automation track if you just open it up by default. Don't worry about these. These might kind of confuse you. So just go ahead and close them if you have them. So go to remove this track so that all you have is a beat and bass line. And then by default, it's the triple oscillator. So I'll just drag that in. So we'll left click on this instrument, triple oscillator, under the instrument plugins. And we'll just have it here. And we can actually move these around too. I think triple oscillator by default is on the very top. So if we left click over here in these dots to the left side of the cog, we can move this track around and have it be higher or lower. Okay, it doesn't really matter where it appears on the, if it's above or below, but I just want to show that you can move those around. And then we can close our beat and bass line. It doesn't matter. All that information will still stay there, and it's still there. If we want to bring it back, we just click the beat and bass line editor up here to bring it back. And the piano roll, we click is right next to the beat and bass line editor. It's show hide piano roll. The key on the keyboard is F7 to bring that up. And so right now it's up, but if we try and play these notes, we don't hear any music. And we can't click anywhere in here either. And that's because we have the piano roll opened, but it's not associated with any track. It's just open. So to associate it with a track, we just click on any one of these squares, these bars in here on the track we want. If we click the beat and bass line, it adds it from our beat and bass line. If we click it on an instrument track, it actually, well, go ahead and double click. It'll open it up in the piano roll editor. And so now we're at the piano roll, we're editing the triple oscillator. Whereas before we were just doing, well, now we are because it's active. But if I take this out, if nothing is active in here, if there's no active squares, bars, then it'll say no pattern. And that means it doesn't know, maybe we don't have an instrument, or maybe we do have an instrument, but it's just, there's no bar. There's no active pattern selected. So we have to make sure we click in here a couple times, or at least once, to have a bar that we can edit it. Okay. So I'm just going to do my first one right here, make sure that that's the little light gray, and then we'll just double click to start editing this. So you'll notice with this piano roll, we have different C's on this piano. If you tilt your head to the left, you can kind of see we have a regular piano here. If we click on this, it'll play. It sounds kind of like an organ. I'm just clicking and holding, and it dies out a little bit. So we can click on different notes. We can also, in this grid area, we can write. So we see a 1, a 2, 3, 4. So here, this is actually bar 1, and these green lines here are counts. And so if I click right now, it'll add in what's this say? Is this a 16th note? Yeah, this is a 16th note, because if we play like this, so if we play, I think those are quarter notes. What is this thing saying? The cool thing about LMMS is if you ever have a question, you can always click. There's this question mark thing, this I right here. We can click to get information, and we can hover over this Q and click, and it tells us what it is. The Q stands for quantization and controls the grid size of the notes. Okay, gotcha. So that's the grid size that we click in. So what this means is, I remember now. So we can actually click and move this around in 16th note increments. If we change this Q to quarter note, then we can only drag it into quarter note increments. So if I try and drag this to the left, it'll only block in every quarter note. So if we want it to be very, very granular, we can do 1/64th, and we can actually move this very granular, if that makes sense. So what this is time from left to right, and as we play, we see it advances, and it just loops over and over and over again. So if we want to change the note, don't worry about this Q. I shouldn't have talked about that just yet. Just leave it at 1/16 is fine. To get rid of a note, we can just right-click on it. And to create a note, we left-click again. Right-click to make it go away, left-click to make it appear. Once it's appeared, if you hover over to the end of it, you can make it last longer. Or you can make it shorter. We can bring it down very short here. Make it be like 16th notes. We can change the we can change how loud it is down here, so note velocity. So we can change all these. Those are all pretty loud, right? Now they're all pretty soft. So the note velocity is down here, and I just left click and hold to change that. What else can we do? If we scroll up, we can do higher notes too up here. Those get kind of annoying with this instrument. And then we can go lower too. We can scroll all the way down. And you can hardly hear some of these. It's almost too low to even hear. If you left click and drag, it'll just move the note around. And then up here, so this setting just says the last note, the last size I made a note, which I think was quarter note. The next note will appear that.
Hello. Ah. Hello Gaming Twitch 07, bienvenue sur le live. Comment vas-tu? Comment as-tu découvert ce live? Je sais pas, t'as peut-être envoyé le message il y a un moment, mais je sais pas, j'étais tellement dans mon truc que je t'ai pas vu. Et bienvenue à toi, on fait de la musique ici. On essaye en tout cas.
So, or we could just say, make every note always be an eighth note. Even if we resize it, have them always be eighth notes. And this setting that says last note just says, whatever I resized, if I made the last note very long, make the next note that long as well. You'll notice I'm clicking over here in this second bar. But the way we have it set up now, we're just going to do just the one looping bar. If we want to edit the second bar, what we would do, so let's just get this to where we kind of want it maybe. Oops. Let's just do that. All right, so if we close out of this now, we see this we have a little green active box down here and some dots. If we play, we should hear that playing with our drums. It just plays once though. So if we click over here, we have a second active bar, and we can double click, and now we can edit the second one. Or we could have gone in, I guess we could have gone in and done it there, but I'm just going to show you this way. So now we have a completely separate second bar. Let's do it like this. Now if we close out of this, now we have two separate melodies in two separate bars. If I want to do this first one again, if I come back here and click on this first one and I want to have it play again, I just right click on it and go to copy. Then I come over here, left click to make this cell active, and then right click, go to paste. And now we have this first melody playing again in the third bar. Maybe I wanted that to go out again, so I just right click. It's already copied, but I can copy it and then paste again. So now we have that pasted. So now we have this little song going.
Bienvenue à tous ceux qui sont sur le live, bien évidemment.
And then everything stops, and our playhead keeps going. So if we want that to be the extent of our song, we can actually control the loop back points too. If you hover over right here, it says enable, disable loop points. If we left click on that, it brings up these green points at the top.
Ah, ok. Ok. Donc là, je joue en boucle, normalement. Si je Si je désactive, si je désactive la boucle, il n'y a plus de boucle. Et la boucle, je peux bien évidemment là, non, faut pas la agrandir comme ça se passe.
I don't know if you can see those. But to set these points, we can hit the right mouse button up here in this top bar, and it sets this green line, and that just shows, and yours might be a different symbol actually, but it just shows where it's looping from. And if we hit the center mouse button, it shows where it starts looping from. So this will actually only loop.
Ah, ok. Pour définir la fin, on appuie sur le droit. Pour définir le début, on appuie sur la molette. Ok. Ça, c'est intéressant.
Between these two bars. It just goes back and over again. If we want to loop to the beginning, we hit the center mouse scroll wheel button is how we set that over again. And if we do the right mouse button, it sets the end of that loop. Does that make sense? So however this green part of the song looks is where it'll loop over and over again. And if that's not enabled, it'll just keep playing off into space forever. So let's say we love this song and we just have a single instrument and a single beat and bass line, which remember we can add in multiple beat bass lines, and we can actually add in multiple instruments too if we want to bring in another one, and we can have instruments playing over top of instruments and etc. So on and so forth. But let's say we just like this and we want to actually publish this song or export it out and use it somewhere. What we would do is we go to File. If we save it, it just gets saved as a Linux Multimedia Studio project, LMMS project. But we can actually export it. We go down to Export and click. And it will export this as a WAV file. So I'll save this on my desktop and I'll just call it
Bon, ça, exporter le fichier, ça devrait le faire.
Save. And it has some options here for us. The sample rate. We can just leave everything the same for now, unless you want to change it. But let's just leave everything how we can see on my desktop. I have, and it just, yeah, single instrument sound better than some things as well.
Allez, juste une petite pause avant de regarder la suivante.
Had me falling to the ground like a king without a crown. Whoa. Why you make it hard? Don't let me down. You might as well be lost, but I'm found. I'm waiting for your love. You just keep me hanging on, and I deserve to stay, and I'll find my way. Just know you're not alone, 'cause I'm your home. I wanna be with you always. Know you're not alone, 'cause I'm your home. In the dark we fight. You take the wrong and you make it right. Like a firefly, you're glowing at night. So don't make it hard, don't let me go. I wanna hold you tight when you're cold. I'm waiting for your love. You just keep me hanging on. I deserve to stay, You got me thinking all I did was wrong. Guess you got all you wanted. Yeah, I don't know why suddenly you're gone. You'll never be forgotten. Pretending no one is to blame. Too late to reignite our flame. How did I not see you running? How did I get behind? How did I not see this coming? Guess all you left me run. Guess all you left me run. Guess all you left me run. How did I not see you running? How did I get behind? How did I not see this coming? Guess all you left me blind. How did I not see you running? How did I get behind? How did I not see this coming? Guess all you left me blind. In retrospect, I could have paid attention. I could have tried harder, been smarter, deep water, I'd be drowned. I should have felt the tension. I overreacted and acted childish, impacted us all around. When you were pushing me away, I should have tried to give you space and get out of your way. How did I not see this coming? You leave in one day. Pretending no one is to blame. Too late to reignite our flame. How did I not see you running? How did I get behind? How did I not see this coming? Guess all you left me run. Guess all you left me run. Guess all you left me run. How did I not see you running? How did I get behind? How did I not see this coming? Guess all you left me blind. How did I not see you running? How did I get behind? How did I not see this coming? Guess all you left me blind.
Allez, je suis de retour. Voilà. J'ai posté sur mon compte Hugo Cards, j'ai posté un reel ce matin. J'ai 600 vues. et déjà pas mal de commentaires, mais ça c'est normal. Bah regardez, je vais vous le montrer, vous allez comprendre. Hop. Là, attendez, un truc comme ça, vous devrez voir. En gros, je fais penser à une carte, après hop, la carte elle est installée là-dessus, mais là il y a toutes les cartes en fait. Après hop, en fait la carte c'est la dame de cœur, sauf que la dame de cœur c'est juste, enfin, c'est en effet la carte à laquelle les gens pensent le plus, mais bien évidemment il y en a plein qui n'ont pas pensé à la dame de cœur. Et du coup, ce qui fait que j'ai plein de commentaires de personnes me disant qu'ils n'ont pas pensé à la dame de cœur. Je m'y attendais forcément. Sauf qu'en attendant, du coup, ça fait quoi? Ça me fait augmenter mes vues. Et en plus de me faire augmenter des vues, j'ai déjà gagné un abonné grâce à la vidéo. Et donc, voilà. Bref, revenons à notre musique. Alors, on va essayer on va se regarder ces vidéos et on va voir ce que ça donne.
Welcome back to another LMMS tutorial. In this video, we're going to be learning more about the piano roll editor. So we're going to be composing music, and we're actually going to be recording from using a MIDI keyboard or using our keyboard on the computer if you don't have a MIDI keyboard. So we can record in real time to get those notes in rather than clicking and creating them like this, like we did in the last video. So to get started, I actually want to close out of a few of these windows. We'll just have just our song editor open. And I'm going to clear out what I just did here. So we click and go clear this track so it starts over. And I'm going to remove the rest of these.
Voilà, c'est tout ça, normalement, ça m'intéresse pas. C'est pour enregistrer, en fait, du son avec un clavier externe.
And it brings up our piano roll. And if we press, while this is open, if we just press some keys on our keyboard, like the Y or the U key, we see it lights up on the keyboard, and as long as we're pressing it, it'll play that sound. So if you don't have a MIDI keyboard plugged in, you can just do it that way. So the keys are mapped, sort of like the same pattern you would play on a piano keyboard, a MIDI keyboard. It's mapped that way. So go ahead and press some keys and get familiar with what the layout is. The bottom keys, it starts out lower to high, so if you press like A.
Et allez, encore un coup, encore une fois.
But Z, it's like very, very low. And then the higher keys like Q, W start getting higher. So there's kind of two octaves stacked on top of each other on the keyboard. Play with that, get familiar with how those layouts work. And then we're actually going to record. I'm going to try and record a song here. So to start recording, we just click record up here. And it's a good idea to check on this metronome. I'll tell you why. Because if we don't do the metronome, we just click recording. Oh, the playhead's going away. And if we start to record a song, the problem is our notes are going to be in between different bars. So I started playing and recording this, and as I hit record and just played some keys on my keyboard, and it recorded those notes that I played, but some of them are different timing. Like this is a longer note than this one, and they're in between different beats. If we see this is the beat 1, so this should be kind of right here, and this should be longer. So we could come in and manually adjust them, but it would have helped if we select this metronome and then hit record. We see it plays a metronome sound there. So metronome can help. And then also bringing the tempo down from 140, if I just left click and drag this down, or I can double click. Let's take it down to like 60. And then we can actually, I'm going to right click and delete all of these notes that I did. So it's kind of starting over. Now if I hit record, I'll hear my metronome. It's also playing much slower, so it'll give me a better chance to actually record more accurate notes. So let's hit record again, and I'll try this over again. So that's much better. I was able to get a lot more accurate, and I can hit the stop key. And so now I actually have this much better. Now I can put it back up to 120 if I want to, or 140 where it was. And I have a nice Mary Had a Little Lamb melody going on there. Okay, some of these other keys I want to show you on the piano roll, or tools that we have. By default, we've been using the draw mode tool. It's always been in draw mode. I showed you we can erase notes by just right-clicking and that note will go away. So right-click. There's another way we can make notes go away, and that's by using the erase tool. So when we're in erase mode, then we can just left-click on anything in erase mode and it disappears. There's also the selection tool. So we hover over, and any tool if you're not sure, just hover over and it tells you what it is. So it's the select mode. So let's select. We can select a certain note, or we can hold down with the left mouse clicker and select as many notes as we want.
Ça, c'est intéressant, ça, exception des notes. Et j'ai pas de notes, moi. Voilà.
And then while they're selected, we can do things like if I hit the delete key right now, it will delete all these. If we want to move them, like let's say I want to move these so they start at bar 1, I just left click and select everything, and then I have to go back to my draw mode and get this little move icon, then I can left click and I can actually move this whole selection back to bar 1. So now everything will be happening on bar 1. I can also transpose it, so if I left click I can drag it down and have it be down here instead. I can also, if I go to the end, it doesn't work well with this selection, but I could make all these notes either a lot shorter or a lot longer. You see that? So it kind of relatively resizes them. So anyway, that's the selection tool. We can also, so now everything's still selected, but I could select individual notes. If I select this one and I want to do these ones, I can hold down the shift key and select only a certain few notes without doing my selection window. Now these 3 are selected, I can make just these ones. Come back to this draw mode and I can make these ones just longer or shorter. Or I can hit the delete key and just delete those notes. If I didn't want to delete them, I can hit Control Z and bring those notes back.
Ça, c'est intéressant, ça.
What else? Okay, so I want to show what some of these other things do. Did I talk about this in the last video? I forget. But anyway, we
Je
have
savais
this,
pas faire, et justement, quand je faisais la musique, j'étais là, et je savais pas comment on pouvait faire ce genre de choses pour sélectionner des notes.
Then you can hover over and just click and it tells you what it is. So this is like, tells us whatever the the type of note we're inserting is going to be the size of the last note we modified. So what that means is if I click here, our note is this length. If I make it this long and click a new note, the new note will be that same length. So whatever the length of the last note I was working with was, it'll be that length. Otherwise, we could use a drop down. We could say, hey, every time I left click, make a quarter note. Or I can say make it a half note. Or I can say make it a 30-second note. So it's teeny tiny. So that's kind of how that works. I Control Z, undo a bunch of those. I'm hitting Control Z a bunch of times to undo all this. And then as far as scales go, so we can, if I press down on my keyboard now, one good thing for using the recording like I did is you can press and create chords. Doesn't sound super good with this instrument, but you can hold down multiple keys at once and while you're recording to get chords. There's also a section here for chords. So if we just click and we want to do a major chord, we just select this under major. And then wherever we click, if I click up here on C, right here, it'll actually create a major chord. I'm going to change this back to quarter notes. So if I click now, it creates a C chord right here. So see, that's a whole C chord. If I want, it's a C major. So whatever note you first click on is what it'll create. So I click on C, so it did a C major. If I want to do a C minor chord, I can just change it to, where was my minor?
Alors, attendez. Ça, c'est intéressant. Je peux bien écouter, je vais revenir en arrière.
Whatever note you first is for chord. Pull keys at once and while you're recording to get chords. There's also a section here for chords. So if we just click and we want to do a major chord, we just select this under major. And then wherever we click, if I click up here on C right here, it'll actually create a major chord. I'm going to change this back to quarter notes. So if I click now, it creates a C chord right here. So see, that's a whole C chord. If I want, and it's a C major. So whatever note you first click on is what it'll create. So I clicked on C, so it did a C major. If I want to do a C minor chord, I can just change it to, where was my minor? Minor, and I click C, and now it'll create a minor chord. If I want to do, and there's all, every different variations of chords we can have. It'll create that version of the chord we can play. And these sound terrible, I'm sorry, it's like super distorted just because of this instrument and the way I have my sampling set up. But different, if we had a different instrument, that would sound a lot better. We can come down here. But that's the way it works with the chords. You probably get the idea. Right now, if you say no chord, then it just does a single note, which is what we've normally been doing. This Q just toggles how large the grids are. I don't know if you can tell in this video, but the grid size changed. So now when this is on like quarter, and I try to move this note around, it'll only move around in quarter note increments. More extreme would be whole note, whole bar. Actually, what is this? Yeah, whole note increments. So it's like the whole bar is the only place it can move. And if I make it more granular, like down to 1/64th, then we can really, fine tune where this is going to go in. So if you're not super familiar with music and timing of notes, that might be a little hazy to you. Just by default, it's on 1/16. That's probably a good place to leave it.
La procrastination causée par le trauma, pas par la...
Then down here we have note velocity. So how loud that note is. And if we click it a second time over here, we can control the panning. So what ear that note appears in stereo, if it's coming out the right side or the left side of the speaker. I apologize, it's getting so distorted and grainy. That's just this instrument we're using. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to show you with the piano roll. Go ahead and play with that. Oh, one more thing I'll show is this button here is to enable the loop points. So right now, if we have it just set here, it'll only loop back. I'm going to erase some of these so it's not so ugly sounding. But this will loop just this first bar over and over again. It's still ugly. But if we want to loop this to the end of the second bar, we can come over here and up here on the top and right click. It'll change this. So right click sets the end point and middle mouse wheel click sets the start point of the loop. So if we want to just loop here, we just click and it'll loop the second bar only. Does that make sense? And it's the same way that it works with the story editor as well. It also has the same icon to control loop points, and we can do the same thing. It controls it the same way, so we can just loop back certain parts of the bar. So I hope that's kind of shed some light on how to use this piano roll, how you can use your keyboard as a MIDI keyboard, record in real time. Oh, we didn't touch on this, but there's also a cut copy. So while we have our selection, if we want to repeat a certain thing, we can select them all, and we can cut them, then repaste them over here in a different bar, or we can copy them and paste them in every bar if we just really like the way this We want a repeating pattern over and over. So you can do these icons, cut, copy, and paste as well. Well, I appreciate you watching this video. I'm going to end it here. In the next videos, we'll talk about different instrument tracks, I think, and getting familiar with some of these different instruments. But in the meantime, leave your comments.
Mince, en fait, vous voyez pas l'écran depuis tout à l'heure. J'ai oublié de changer la vue. Et voilà, voilà.
Questions below. Like and subscribe, and I hope to see
Bon, là, j'ai fait ça. Je vais écouter. On va écouter en entier avec on va voir ce que ça donne. Allez. On n'est clairement pas sur la même qualité que ce qu'on a écouté en démo, hein, ça c'est sûr. Hein. Ça sonne très faux, sûrement. Mais c'est avec l'entraînement qu'on va arriver à faire quelque chose de bien. Donc voilà. Je vais pas arrêter. Si je l'arrête et je relance. Ça, c'est une question de volume et tout aussi.
see you in the next video.
Allez.
I'm gonna make a beat for NBA Young.
J'ai que des pubs en lien avec la musique maintenant. Je pense dernière vidéo qu'on se
Welcome back
regarde.
to another
On va voir.
LMMS tutorial. In this video,
Non,
we're
peut-être
going
pas.
to be learning about some of these different instrument plugins and the way that LMMS handles audio files and instrument configurations. So again, we're just going to close our FX mixer for now, close our controller rack. If you open this up, those kind of come up by default. And then we have just our song editor. We have no song in here. And we're going to go ahead and delete all this stuff. Just remove every track we have. Remove. So we have a nice starting blank slate to work with. And the first thing I want to show you is, if we come over here, we have these different instrument plugins. The top one is Audio File Processor. And we've actually, I'm not sure if we've used this or not yet, but let's drag it in. So this gets used quite a bit. And what it does, it just takes a recorded audio file on your computer and lets you play it as if it were an instrument. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to minimize out of here for a second, and I'm going to bring up Audacity. Audacity is like a free recording program. You're probably familiar with it.
Ok, et avec ça, on peut du coup importer des sons déjà enregistrés de l'ordinateur, etc. Donc, on va essayer de faire ça, importer un son. Juste changer de fenêtre le temps, faut pas voyer tout mon fichier.
It's a great tool to have. So I'm just going to record a quick little audio thing. I'm just going to say like, hello. Hello. Okay, so I just recorded this audio file saying hello. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Save. No, I'm going to go Export. Oops, cancel. I'm just going to export this out as a WAV file.
On va déjà regarder la vidéo parce que voilà, je sais pas comment on fait en fait.
WAV. Perfect. So now I have this file on my computer. I probably should have cut out the space. Actually, what I'm really going to do is I'm going to delete the space at the beginning and at the end of this. And now I'm going to re-export it. Sorry, guys. Just so I'll just save over this one. Okay. So now if we play this, it should just be me saying hello. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, and that's like the pitch and the tone that it is and everything. Now let's go back into LMMS. And for our audio file processor, we're going to come here and we're going to, well, first we have to actually bring this in. So to bring in a file into here, I think you can load it this way. I think there's a way to load it in, but maybe not. Oh yeah, right here. If we click on this little folder, there's a couple of ways we can process audio, but one of the ways is when we have this instrument, by default, if we hit play, nothing's happening. There's no sound wave here, so there's no audio to process. So we can't change anything and get any sound out of this yet. So first we have to bring in an audio file. So let's bring in that one I just...
Ok, donc je fais ça et on revient juste après. Voilà, donc file, un fichier, voilà. Et on va aller prendre un fichier audio pour tester ça. Moi, je reviens en arrière là. Là, je vais comme ça. Euh, voilà.
It's recorded. We go to desktop, we go to this hello.wave and go to open. And now if we hit play, or not play, there's a little square if you see above the keyboard right here. So if I play this key on the keyboard, hello.
Ok, là, vous entendez le son, c'est juste un boom, quoi, un petit boom que j'avais dans le son. Ok, ok, c'est intéressant. Quand je vais faire des musiques pour mes vidéos, etc., apporter des petits effets sonores comme ça directement dans la musique, en fait, pour les gérer mieux que de faire ça dans DaVinci Resolve.
It plays my recording exactly how it is. Hello. If I play a higher key, it'll play that same recording in a higher note. Hello. If I play it a lower key, it'll play the same recording in a lower note. Hello. So it just slows down the speed of it. And that's how it accomplishes a different pitch. Hello, 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 hello. So we could actually play a song of hellos using my voice saying hello as an instrument. We go like, play like Mary Had a Little Lamb using this hello wave file. So I do this to illustrate kind of what this audio file processor is doing. Right now, it's just processing it and letting us change the pitch of it according to keys. And then we could come into our piano roll and we could play, hello, hello, hello. We can actually use this as an instrument, right? So what we actually end up doing is if we come down here into under samples and go to instruments, all these instruments are actually just audio files. So if we click play, if we just hold down the cello here, bass, organ, piano. This piano is a really good example. This piano note is a single recorded piano note. Just like we did in Audacity to create this hello file, this piano note is just a recorded file. So if we drag it in, it's also being processed by this same instrument.
J'aime trop ce qu'on a fait avec ce petit son. Je viens de faire ça comme ça, mais j'aime trop, en fait. Ah, attendez, on va se le mettre une deuxième fois. Ici. Voilà. Un stade de gamme. On va enlever la lecture en boucle. Et sur le deuxième, on va inverser, c'est-à-dire qu'on va se mettre. On va se mettre la longue en haut, en aigu. On va faire démarrer en la grave plus tard. Voilà, ça va pas du tout. On oublie ça. On va se conserver du coup en haut en 3. Et on va plutôt du coup prendre ces notes-là, on va peut-être rehausser de, disons, c'est shift 2, shift 2. Hop, c'est un utiliser ça. Ou à l'inverse, on va plutôt les faire la même chose, mais en descendance, de toute façon. On va regarder ça. Ok, ça rend pas, on va faire mieux, on va supprimer tout ça. On va pas s'improviser musicien pour aujourd'hui. On va continuer à regarder notre petit tuto.
This instrument plugin of audio file processor. So if we click on it, it also has a square above this key. So this is the original audio file, and a higher audio file sounds like this. So they didn't actually, someone didn't go and record every key of a piano. They just recorded one key of a piano, and then they changed the speed of the playback to achieve a different tone, a different pitch of that note. So that really is playing the same audio file over and over and over again at just different pitches. So hopefully this is starting to sink in what's going on here. This is different. This is the first one we'll look at. As you watch more videos, we're going to go through some of the rest of these. These other instruments are doing it differently. They're not taking in an audio file, or at least not all of them. They're not taking in an audio file and processing it. But the one that is processing is this wave, this audio file processor. So if we close and go back to this hello wave, we can actually see there's some different settings in here. We've got volume. Hello. So we can change and make the volume louder on here if we want. Hello. Hello. We can change the pan, so if we want it to come out the left speaker or the right speaker. With the pitch, we can change like the pitch before the key as well. Hello. But pitch we'll just keep there too. Actually, I don't know if any of that's even changing. We can come here and change. Nah, we're not going to change. Just know that we can make changes to this, but we're not really going to make any changes to this right now. We could change where we come in. So if we have a longer audio file, I went and cut the beginning and the end of this. Like this is where the start and end points are. I forget. I think do we right click? I'm not sure how to set the. Oh, right here. So this sets the start point, and then this sets the end point. So we could cut it right to there, and then when this button is selected, it'll only play those points there. Hello, 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 hello. So this is starting here, and it's going to end right there. If we do this R, it reverses it. Which you wouldn't want to do with spoken audio, but with a piano, it might make a good effect if we reverse the piano. So that can be kind of cool. What else do we have? We have looping here. So if we have loop, it'll actually, if we come to loop and we set a start point at like right here and an end point at right here, or an end point at right here. Oh, I'm sorry, this is something else. Hover over to see what this is. Loop back point, yeah. So the loop back point, then if we just hold down the key, it just loops through that part. Because that could be an effect, right? For your song, you could actually have a cool effect to loop back and forth, just like this. And then what's this one do? Enable loop. Oh, so yeah. Anyway, that is using the audio processor in LMMS.
Ok, donc ça on peut faire des boucles. C'est par exemple. Par exemple, mon boom. Je rajoute pour la fin. Je peux faire diminuer la fin avant et prendre un back ici par exemple. Ah non, pour activer ça alors. Ah, après ça me lit dans l'autre sens. Ok, ça fait ça. Ah, on va voir ce que ça donne. Bon, mon fichier sonore va pas être assez long pour. On va essayer de dupliquer la piste. Poser cette piste, voilà. On va prendre que cette piste. Je supprime tout ça. Et juste on va écouter un son 1 pour voir ce que ça, enfin, voir ce que ça fait. Alors que j'enlève la boucle. Ouais, c'est pas assez long, hein. Soit c'est pas assez long, soit ça ne marche pas. Mais ça n'a pas marché, là, quand même. Là, j'ai un son de 6 secondes. Mon son, il fait combien? Et, il fait plus de 6 secondes. Donc, bon, c'est vraiment moi. Du coup, je vais le réduire. Je vais faire 3 secondes, mon son. 3 secondes. Donc là, ça devrait être bon. On va voir. Et là, oui, c'est mieux à l'envers. Ça fait un truc un peu bizarre quand même. Mais en soi, en fait, pourquoi ici, je fais un truc un peu. Ça, c'est peut-être dû à mon son. Je sais pas. On va l'écouter en, je vais supprimer son nom tout à l'heure. C'est pas grave. Ah oui, c'est parce que quand j'arrive tout en haut, ça fait ça. Bref, on s'en fout, on va enlever la boucle. On va la rallonger. On va activer cette piste, on va garder ça. Bon, continuons de regarder la vidéo.
So play with that. I would say don't get into any of these other tabs for now. Just worry about this very first one and these different points. What's this one here? Volume. Oh yeah, this controls like the amplitude of the actual audio file. So basically volume, yeah. How loud it is. Appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully it's been kind of informative. Play with that audio file processor, and then we'll play with some of these other instruments in future tutorials. Thanks for watching.
Ok, next vidéo.
Le sidechain est devenu un outil.
Ben voilà. Logic Pro, c'est ce que tu dis Charlie, ça, du coup.
Welcome back to another LMMS tutorial. In this video, we're going to be looking at some more instrument plugins, also called VST plugins. VST, we can do a little search on it and see. I think it stands for, Virtual Studio Technology.
Normalement,
So
j'en ai
this
des
is
plugins,
this technology
des
of creating
plugins.
virtual
Wow.
sounds. It's used by lots of different audio editors, digital audio workstations like LMMS. And so essentially, you can find more plugins than we have just here. And a lot of times they're called VST instrument plugins. But essentially, it just gives you options. So the audio file, like we looked at last time, lets us bring in an audio file and then edit. We can't change a whole lot with it. It basically just plays the audio at different speeds. These next ones we'll look at, like Bit Invader, for example, doesn't have an audio file. Instead, it just has a short wave that we edit to create a certain sound. And we can draw our own wave. Or we can click here and, use some preset waves. Here's like a really random distortion one. Just sounds like a bunch of random noise. We can change the wavelength of this. and make it sound a little bit smoother.
Je peux juste chercher un fichier.
If we make the wavelength much
Enfin, je sais pas
shorter,
comment je faisais en
it just
fait.
sounds, we can see it's a little more jagged and pixelated, and it's not going to sound as nice on our ears. So it's just the wavelength. And what this is essentially doing is taking this sample and repeating it over and over again very quickly to create a sound. So we're not bringing in an audio file, we're actually creating our own very, very short audio file and looping it over and over again. And then it just plays it at different pitches to create that. And we can come down here now, and we can double click and use it in our piano roll. And that's how we can create a like a little song melody using that. And you see it kind of has a very 8-bit sound, a very Nintendo, Atari kind of sound to it.
Le truc, c'est que j'avais téléchargé des plugins. Je sais plus comment on fait pour les trouver. Là, j'ai mis son. Le son qui n'était pas là, justement, ils étaient rangés ailleurs et je sais plus comment je faisais pour aller les chercher. Bref.
Let's go ahead and remove that. We'll remove this track. So what I really want to do in this video is just show you, go through a couple more of these and get you familiar with what's going on with them. I'll close out of these so we can focus more. This next one's called Free Boy. Free Boy sounds like this by default. So it has like also a very Nintendo Game Boy sound to it, right? It has these different channels. So we can do just channel 1, for example. We were just listening to all channels right now, but if we do just channel 1, it sounds like this. There's also channel 2, which sounds like this. Oh no, this is channel, oh whoops. That's a right and left of channel 1, I'm sorry. Channel 2 is like this. Right and left, oops. Channel 3 sounds like this. And we can change the settings over here too. I'll show you how to change that. This is channel 4. That's cool, right? You just hold down, and it's different pitches too. Like this is like the enemy spaceship flying away or whatever. Okay, if we want to change the way this sounds, so maybe we want to combine these two, so it goes. So now it's playing those two sounds at once. Also, we can add in more bass here. We can add in some treble. We can control the left volume, so left volume might be a lot less than the right volume. Anyway, there's lots of different things we can do, adjustments we can make to change the overall. We can change the output volume overall. Lots of different things we can do here. Yeah, so I just want to kind of demonstrate that. And then again, if we put this in our piano roll, it'll kind of sound, oops, like that. That's more for like sound effects, but you can create some cool, like these ones are more like musical notes if we get rid of that stuff and then we replay this. Whew. What else do we have? Yeah, but just, so they're all different, right? So the 3 that we've looked at so far, if we click on them, they all 3 have a different interface. So even though they're an instrument plugin, they all have different ways of controlling them, different ways of changing the sound. These 2 are just taking some predefined data and adjusting the sound to make different effects and sounds out of it. And this one lets you put in your own sound. Let's look at one that we've already done in the past. If we bring up our beat and bassline editor, beat and bassline editor here, and we add in a beat and bassline. So this has a kicker. So we've looked at the kicker before, right? And we did this, we created this cool beat. Well, the kicker is an instrument. We can click on it too, and it also has its own settings. So it sounds like this by default. Remember where the square is over the key of that piano keyboard is the pitch that it's playing. That's the original. We can turn up the gain. We can turn up the length on this. And it changes the sound. I'm not sure what all these do, but we can change these a lot. That's pretty cool, huh? So all these different things. It's just going to be, we're not going to be able to, in the beat and bassline editor, we're not going to be able to change the note, the pitch of it, but it'll just be the same thing over again. And we made that way too long, so we need to put that length like, whoa, back down to there. See? So we can kind of create, so we could bring in another kicker now to our beat and bass line, not into our song editor. I mean, we could put it in the song editor, but now this is going to be the default one. See? So this one sounds like this. This one sounds like this.
Ok, c'est n'importe quoi, mais c'est pas grave.
And at the same time, that sound like this. Okay, so that's the kicker, and we can bring in as many as we want of this kicker instrument. So the kicker plays really nice with the beat and bass line editor. We could also bring the kicker into its own line and play it as if it was like a bunch of different drums. So we can do it that way as well. So, and vice versa, really. We actually could really bring in, if we go to our beat and bass line, oops, not that one, this existing one, and we could bring in an audio file processor and have me saying hello.
This is a melody in Ableton Live.
Voilà. Encore les pubs.
So last time I recorded this hello.wave file, we can bring it in of me saying hello. Hello. And we can play it at the end of like our thing. Hello. Hello. Oops. Hello. So you can bring anything into here, and we could bring the bit invader in and have it be, it'll just sound like this by default. Ooh, starting to get too much stuff going on there. But what I want to illustrate by doing that is that we can do in our beat and bass line editor and in our song editor, we can bring any of these instrument plugins into either one. I guess one thing I want to differentiate too, I kind of touched on this in the last video, but these instrument plugins are kind of the building blocks, kind of just the program. It's sort of like a, yeah, it's like a little program that lets us control the way it sounds. It's like this bit invader, we have the different settings for it. But don't get that confused with like when we go to My Samples and we go to the folder called Instruments, this folder of instruments is different. This organ is not a VST. It's not an instrument plugin. It's just a recording of one note of an organ. And this flute is a recording of one note of a flute. And to turn this into like kind of a virtual instrument, we bring it into our audio file processor. Or rather, actually, it does that by default for us. If we remove this, if we just, where did I go? If we grab the flute and the left click and drag it in, it brings it in under the audio. It already, by default, uses the audio file processor to process this. And then we can do different notes of it. I don't think I want to get too crazy, but go ahead and play with the rest of these, and maybe I'll demonstrate some more of these as we get into it. There's some really cool ones. So I'll demonstrate some more of these as it's applicable. But go ahead and just play with these. Drag in the mallet, see what the mallet sounds like. See what different options, play around with it, change it. Don't worry about these other tabs. So these other tabs are going to be pretty constant throughout all of our different instrument plugins. But this first tab is going to be the plugin settings that we can change, how.
Non, mais si, je crois que pour avoir des instruments, utiliser un truc, c'est Vestige que je vais utiliser. Ouais, c'est ça. Attendez, j'ai essayé. Voir si avec ça, je peux récupérer mes plugins. Je l'avais comme ça. Mais le problème, c'est chez plus où ils sont, en fait. Je sais plus où ils sont, vos trucs. Je les retrouve pas. Ils sont pas du tout là-dedans, je crois. Bon, on verra plus tard. Mais je crois que c'était avec ça que je faisais pour récupérer avec cet outil-là que je faisais pour pouvoir récupérer les sons, des VST, etc.
How this one actually works. So play with these different plugins, go through all of them and see what different instruments you can make out of just using an instrument plugin without doing bringing in a recorded audio file. Play with that, get familiar with it, and leave your comments, questions below if you have any. And I hope to see you in the next video.
Ok, on va s'arrêter ici pour les vidéos. Je pense que c'est vraiment catastrophique. Hein. Parce qu'en fait, le logiciel, je commence à peu près à comprendre son fonctionnement et à arriver à faire des choses. Et maintenant, le truc, c'est qu'il faut que j'arrive à savoir composer un son. Savoir où placer mes notes, parce que là, j'ai placé mes notes aléatoirement, quoi. Alors que c'est pas en plaçant mes notes aléatoirement que je vais arriver à faire un son total. Bref. On verra tout ça plus tard. On va s'arrêter ici pour aujourd'hui. On a déjà regardé pas mal de vidéos. On a réussi à faire un truc qui est bon. Voilà. Donc. Est-ce que je vais réussir à lancer l'outro du live? C'est la question. Déjà, il me trouve tellement de scènes que je sais plus. Voilà, elle est là. Donc, merci d'avoir suivi le live et puis on se retrouve, je ne sais trop quand. Parce que voilà. Abonnez-vous si ça vous intéresse, que je suis assez un improviste au niveau des lives. Et voilà, merci d'avoir regardé mon live. Et évidemment, j'ai encore fait une bêtise en lançant mon intro. J'ai jamais y arrivé, je pense. Parce qu'en fait, il faut que déjà, j'ai lancé double son, vous avez dû entendre double fois le son, la musique. En fait, il faut vraiment que que j'enlève mon logo quand je lance l'outro. Allez, c'est parti. Merci d'avoir suivi le live, c'était Hugo Vidéo. À bientôt.